this program are not necessarily those of yours truly.
You know, it's been a bit since we've looked at Freddy Krueger stalking some teens, so today we're checking out the Freddy's Nightmares episode, Dream Come True.
Gotcha!
Not even a minute into the show and I already have no idea what just happened. Cut to the cheapest looking talk show set you've ever seen. The host of the show, Stan Brooks, has brought on Dr. Brandon Keffler, a dream expert and therapist. It's pretty coincidental that there just so happens to be a ton of experts on dreams in a town terrorized by a nightmare serial killer. Weird how that works.
Author of the outrageously overpriced new book, Dream Come True.
Generally, you want to let your guests speak before you start tearing into their nonsense. They take some questions from the audience and a woman starts asking about her son who's suffering from some really intense nightmares. A teen dealing with nightmares in Springwood? Well, this is the first I'm hearing about this. The doc thinks her son might be a perfect candidate for his scam, I mean therapy. But what I need to know is why is this woman listening so intently? Unfortunately though, the doctor doesn't make house calls.
I mean, any Tom, Dick, or Harry can write a book. What we want is proof.
Proof of what exactly? How do you prove some dream therapy was successful? Stand in the audience, then proceed to bully the doctor until he finally gives in and tells the woman that he'll help her son. Not only will he help her son, but Stan will also have a camera crew documenting the whole thing, so they can prove whether or not the doctor is a fraud.
And now, here's Freddy.
You know, at least he lets you know you're about to die, that's kinda nice. Freddy, you're really lucky that Randy isn't a bedwetter. Alright, so things aren't looking so good for the kid, but hey, at least the doctor stopped by.
Until we moved here to Springwood.
Oh man, I wish I had a camera on myself when that happened, because I have not laughed that hard in a very long time. Don't worry Mom, Randy's fine. Freddy was just teaching him a little parkour. After taking his little tumble, Randy thanks his mother for going on television and telling the whole world just how insane her son is. Well, Randy, it's about to get a whole lot worse because we're going live, baby. Randy explains to the doc why he's been having trouble sleeping lately, and it's all because of that little silly Fred Krueger.
Unless, of course, he doesn't exist outside your imagination.
I'm sorry, Doc, but could you be a little drunker when you speak? Thanks. Randy gets a bit upset when the doctor doesn't exactly believe his story of a spooky pizza-faced serial killer, and he runs up to his room. Later that night, Randy wakes the doc up and pulls out a gun that would even make Charles Bronson blush. It turns out the whole thing was actually a dream. So much for the dream expert, I guess. In the meantime, Randy's enjoying a nice game of darts with Freddy. Damn, I was hoping Freddy would hit the bullseye. Randy's mom is a bit scared for her son, which is understandable, but I'm not exactly sure what the doctor thinks he's gonna do.
That's what I don't understand. Why should my son be having these nightmares?
To be fair, she does bring up a good point. Freddy originally only went after the children of the parents who killed him. Then, when he was nearly finished with them, he used Kristen to get to her friends. And then by Freddy's dead, he was just able to kill all the children, I guess. Anyways, we gotta get back to exploiting this disturbed child for ratings. So far, the doc hasn't made Randy do anything that your average therapist wouldn't, so I don't know why the talk show host was so skeptical. The doctor tells Randy to close his eyes and he'll guide his dreams for him. How? I don't know, but I'm also not a dreamologist. Well, so much for guiding his dreams, Doc, because look who's here.
When I say jump,
do these people not notice the massive slash that just suddenly appeared on Randy's chest? Do they not think that, maybe he was telling the truth? Also, the doctor tells Randy that he scratched him, but how sharp do your nails need to be to cut through someone's shirt and their skin? The doc seems to be taking this harder than Randy. The cameraman, who's barely said a word this whole time, starts explaining to the doc just who this Freddy guy is, and all the strange things that have occurred since he was murdered. Like when Johnny Depp was swallowed by his bed.
Freddy Krueger is dead. Come on, he can't hurt you.
Then how do you explain these cuts?
Checkmate, Doc. Suddenly the doctor is in the dream world having a little chat with Freddy, and then he starts melting for some reason. But who cares, Randy's actually sleeping for once. It seems the doc may have put an end to Freddy once and for all. How exactly, I'm not entirely sure.
You've given me back my son. And now I want to give you something.
Oh, I hope it's the pizza thrower. Something tells me the doc's real goal was hooking up with the mom. Looks like it's about to become a threesome, however, because I think Freddy wants in, but I thought he melted.
the romance is over. I'm cutting it off right now.
Mwah. Now this is pure cinema. Randy wakes the doc up, thanking him for getting rid of Freddy. Meanwhile, the doc looks like he could use a dream therapist.
What's gotten into you? You're right. This son of a bitch is real. You mean Freddy? You saw him?
The doctor is acting nuttier than the kid. He sees Freddy one time and he's like, I've got to warn the world. Meanwhile, the children in Springwood have been dealing with this for years and no one bats an eye. The doc rushes to the studio, which seems to be having their little talk show with Randy and his mom. But why would they have the show without the doctor? Wasn't the whole point to prove whether or not he was a fraud? Whoa, relax, Doc. The McDonald's breakfast menu doesn't end till 11. The doctor arrives at the studio, and Stan thinks that maybe someone else had a hand in Randy's recovery.
Let's have a warm Springwood welcome for Dr. Freddy Krueger.
I'm guessing Freddy's a pediatrician? You probably shouldn't sleep while you're driving, but hey, what do I know? The doc then loses his damn mind, even taking the gun from a security guard. I wouldn't worry though, it's not like anything bad'll happen.
Freeze!
Oh, I guess I was wrong. I see the camera guy never skips face day. Why does he start filming after all the action took place? Doesn't he know if it bleeds, it leads? Anyways, the camera guy Gary is looking over all the footage he recorded when he notices someone that probably shouldn't be there. But don't worry, Gary, it was just a dream. Oh wait. Gary's boss comes in telling him there's another murder to cover, which is weird because since when is Springwood known for murders? In addition to this, Gary had a fight with his girlfriend who also works for the station, but I'm sure this won't come up again later. There are more reporters around the body than there are police.
Has anyone suspicious been hanging around here?
Suspicious? Like who?
Oh, I don't know, maybe the murderer? Criminals are kinda dumb and tend to return to the scene of the crime. Gary speaks to his boss, and unfortunately, he'll have to handle this report solo. His girlfriend Judy never showed up, but I'm sure she's fine.
We've identified the victim. It's Judy.
Oh, that doesn't bode well for Gary. He did tell his boss the two of them had a fight the night before, and now her body winds up in a dumpster? Gary steals the camera footage from another cameraman, but why aren't the police stopping him? You'd think that maybe they'd have some questions for him, no? Anyways, Gary looks over the footage because he's specifically looking for Freddy Krueger. Why does he think Freddy is responsible for his girlfriend's murder? He's supposed to be a child murderer, not a 30-something murderer. Well, I guess he was right, but how do you catch Freddy on film when he's supposed to be in your dreams? Gary's boss comes in giving him hell for assaulting another station's cameraman. What, you mean this light shove after he just learned his girlfriend is dead? You'd think the boss would be more worried about his dead reporter, who just had a fight the night before with her short-fused boyfriend.
Freddy Krueger.
You're right. I don't believe it.
Obviously, his boss doesn't believe him. I mean, if all the dead teens that have claimed Freddy is after them aren't believed, then what hope does this guy have? Gary shows him the camera footage, but wouldn't you know it, Freddy isn't there. His boss then puts him on a leave of absence when what he should be doing is getting the police involved. Gary's sort of lost at this point. He knows what he saw, the only thing he can do now is talk to an expert.
Well, you remember what I was going through. I mean, all I had to do was nod off and bam, Freddy was inside my head.
And I guess that expert is Randy? Am I the only one bothered about wearing shoes in the house? According to Randy, Freddy doesn't just exist in the dream world, but also the real world. I'm not exactly sure how that works, but this show is just breaking all the established lore. Gary thinks he can prove Freddy exists, but he needs Randy's help. Where is Mom in all of this? She might have something to say about her son going off Freddy hunting with someone whose girlfriend was just murdered. Anyways, later that night, Gary goes off looking for Freddy and he finds him almost immediately.
Sorry I'm late, but you give lousy directions.
I think Gary might be narcoleptic. I've never seen someone randomly fall asleep as much as he does. Gary and Randy search around where Judy was murdered, looking for evidence that Freddy exists, but I'm not sure they're just gonna find a sign that says Freddy was here. Now a dead body, that makes sense. Randy runs off to call the police, and I guess I was wrong. Gary did find a sign saying Freddy was here. Alright, now is Gary sleeping again, or is Freddy in our world? The police in Springwood are incredibly fast because they're already on the scene. In the meantime, Gary is looking for Freddy again, even though seconds earlier, Freddy was right in his face.
Gary, what the hell do you think you're doing?
Doing battle with Freddy.
That sounds perfectly rational. Also, his boss didn't know he was doing this, so were they all just sitting around the station hoping someone would start broadcasting something? His boss starts recording the feed and puts a trace on Gary's transmission, which is something he can do, I guess.
Are you getting all this on tape? You better be.
The man has totally gone off the deep end.
It took you this long to realize this? Gary continues antagonizing Freddy, but no one at the station can see this. It just comes off as Gary losing his damn mind. So is Gary asleep? Is Freddy in the real world? Or is something else entirely going on?
Judy's autopsy revealed traces of Gary's clothing all over her. He killed her, Ben.
So Gary did kill his girlfriend? Is he just seeing Freddy because of his guilt? Or did Freddy take over Gary's body? It wouldn't be the first time Freddy possessed someone.
You used me to kill them, but you're the guilty one.
Alright, so I guess Freddy did take over his body. Well, have a nice trip there, Gary. I've got to be honest, but Dream Come True is kinda dull. The first half with Randy is a little more interesting and has some genuinely funny moments, like his damn fall down the stairs that nearly killed me. But other than that, there's not a whole lot to say. The second half isn't nearly as interesting and doesn't make a ton of sense. Why would Freddy use Gary to target his girlfriend? Isn't he supposed to be going after teens? He seems to kill more adults in this show than he did in the entirety of the Elm Street movies. It was nice to see Charles Cyphers, who played Sheriff Bracken in Halloween, but he doesn't exactly do a whole lot. There were no real fun Freddy moments in this one, and you can really feel just how much New Line did not care about this show. It's been a very cheap show from day one, but you can really feel the penny pinching going on here. It's not good, it's not bad, but the best I can say is that it's at least watchable. But what do you think? Have you seen Dream Come True? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope to see you in the next video and stay spooky.
Randy's got insomnia.
Why are you so afraid to go to sleep? Whenever I close my eyes, he's there.
And a television therapist tries to drag Freddy into prime time.
Bad idea, bud.
Will the shrink's method succeed?
Leave the kid alone. He's mine.
Or will the Kruger treatment prevail?
Is there a doctor in the house?
Find out on the next Freddy's Nightmares.